Hey guys, Pepper's Hattie here, and this week we're going to do something, it's not nearly as complex as some of the other things we've made, but it's kind of a base recipe that you can use to make a breakfast food, a dessert, or even a curry dish if you want it. So, it's super duper easy, doesn't have a lot of ingredients, and it's super duper tasty. So let's get started with this tutorial. Okay, so as you guys know, I'm a huge pain in the ass, and I never actually measure anything out. But, if you guys can see any of the mess that currently is my kitchen, don't worry about that. I'm kind of cleaning, and because I'm cleaning, it gets messier. We're going to start off by turning our pan up to just above medium, putting in about, probably a teaspoon of butter. That wasn't about a teaspoon, so I'll put in a little more. That seems about like a teaspoon of butter. I'm using Original Earth Balance. And then we are going to add roughly a cup of rice. I don't know how much it's actually going to be. I'm using brown rice, and it already needs to be cooked. Do not put in uncooked, otherwise you're going to be doing this for a very, very long time. And yes, I'm a weirdo and have brown rice already cooked and ready to go. Brown rice is amazing, by the way. Having some cooked and ready to go for like side dishes and stir fries and breakfast foods is a really good idea. Then we're going to take, I'm using unsweetened coconut milk, and I'm going to put in about the same amount, so about a cup. So basically as much rice as I have in there is how much I want to put in. We're going to mix that up really good. Since we do already have the heat on, we want to make sure none of the rice starts burning or sticking to the bottom or anything like that. If you are worried about burning your rice, you can put in a little more liquid, but you'll have to cook it off longer. So, I'm going to flavor this using a dash of cinnamon, more cinnamon than anything else though. So maybe an eighth of a teaspoon or a quarter of a teaspoon cinnamon, I have no idea. Again, I don't measure. And I'm also going to grab ginger, nutmeg, and that's it. I don't want to do cloves. I don't know why I picked that up. So, sprinkle in some ginger. That was probably more than what I actually wanted. Sprinkle in some nutmeg. And again, mix that up really, really well. And then we are going to add in 2 ingredients that are going to add all of our texture and sweetness and quite a bit of additional flavor actually. So I have here, this is Crocker brand syrup. It's cinnamon maple flavored. So this is obviously very, very sweet, but it also has a really good cinnamon taste to it. So I'm going to put in about a tablespoon. Maybe a little more, a little less. I have no idea, to be honest. Obviously, adjust that according to how calorie-laden you want this to be. And then I need to grab a clean spoon. And I'm just going to put in a couple of scoops of pumpkin puree. You can obviously put in, more traditionally this is made with like raisins or something like that. I like pumpkin, so I'm putting in pumpkin. Like I said, this is just pumpkin puree. There's no sweetener in there. There's no nothing like that. It's just pumpkin. Alright, so you mix it all up again, and here's why this recipe is amazing. Once you bring it to a boil and then turn it down to a simmer, it pretty much cooks itself while you go and finish getting ready. So this is a fantastic breakfast food, or even, I made this for dessert last night. It's just sweet enough that it can pass for a dessert, but it's also just hearty and delicious and healthy enough to pass for a breakfast food. That might have been too much pumpkin. But we are going to bring this to a boil, so I'll be back when this is actually boiling. Okay, so as you can see now, it's starting to boil. And we're going to stir it really well because we don't want it to burn to the bottom. And we're going to go ahead and turn this down to about halfway between medium and low. And we're just going to leave it, to simmer for a little while. And you can go and get ready while it's doing this. Occasionally come back over and stir it. But basically, you're just going to cook it until it's the right consistency you want. As far as how runny it is, like right now that's really, really runny and I don't like that, so I'm going to cook this until it is the correct consistency. If you like runny oatmeal and things like that, this might be ready for you. So it's really up to personal preference and taste. So like I said, we're just going to leave this to simmer for a little while so that some of the liquid can cook down, I might need to turn it up a little. No, it's good. And I'll be back when it's down to the correct consistency. Okay, so I kind of cheated and cranked mine up to high and cooked it quickly. You also can do this, but if you do, make sure you constantly stir it. That's why I don't really recommend doing it, because if you do it, you literally have to constantly stir it. But as you can see, it's now a lot thicker, and this is how I prefer my rice pudding. So what I'm going to do, there are two different options for how I like to eat this. Either I pour this into a bowl and I pour just a little bit of my coconut milk over it to kind of cool it down a little bit so I can eat it sooner, and also to give it a little bit creamier of a consistency. And that's just something I like to do with a lot of the foods I eat. You don't really have to do that. A lot of people would just leave their food runnier from the get-go, but I don't like doing that. Another thing I like to do if I'm eating it as a dessert is I'll take it and then I will take a big old dollop of, in this case I have the So Delicious dairy-free creamy vanilla, and I'll just take a dollop of that and drop it right in the middle and then stir it in, and that's also really, really good in there. So it's kind of up for interpretation how you want it, and if you're eating it as a dessert, as a breakfast food. You could also use this as a base recipe for a like curried pumpkin rice dish, just by adding in curry instead of all the sweet elements. Using something like garam masala or curry powder or something like that, and that would make it more of a like almost like a dinner food, honestly. So this is kind of a nice base recipe that you can use for different things. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I guess I was gonna say plate some of this up, but I guess bowl some of this up, and I'll take some pictures. Hope you guys like this recipe. Bye.